Welcome, everybody. It's your boy, the Versace Stoner, with another episode of VSW. Thank you, everybody. It's your boy, the Versace Stoner, alongside
with the Sable
with another very exciting episode of VSW. Tonight we got a really big star calling in. He's been all over the place. You've seen him at Wrestlers Laboratory. He is their champion, Disabled Wolf.
Ooh.
You know who I'm talking about. We've seen him in Peace Underground. He has put in twin screw tables. There's nobody else like him in the industry. You know who I'm talking about now.
He's opposite of old, right?
He is very opposite of old. He is the king, MV Young. He's calling in today to talk with us. As you know, there is going to be a Poly-Am Woodstock.
Ooh.
And as you know, we are going to that, Disabled Wolf.
Didn't we sponsor that, Versace?
We actually did sponsor that. And we are going to it as well. So, I can't wait. We're going to talk about that. We're going to chat with him a little bit. I know he had a little issues on the Twitter machine. I guess they suspended his account the other day or something.
That's horrible.
The social media aspect of things makes it very difficult because, you know what? You're going to have people that aren't fans. And when you get that, the first thing they do is try to shut you down. And that's not the right way. You can't do that. You can disagree without trying to shut somebody down, without trying to silence them. That's the problem with some social media apps. And, that's the problem with today's age. Everybody wants to just silence people. That nobody wants to really let people just, duke it out and disagree and fight. I come from a world where if you disagree with somebody, you would just, go out back to the closest alley and you guys would kick the shit out of each other until one of you won. Whoever won the disagreement. So, but, he is actually one of my favorite wrestlers. Like I said, it is MV Young. We were at the Wrestlers Laboratory taping. I know you had to miss it, Disabled Wolf. You were busy with doing, I forget what you were doing actually, some kind of sports shit, was it not?
Yeah, stuff for my Wolfcast. I was at Fenway that day, so.
Yeah, so I took a friend out there, and we went, out to the Jersey area, and, we sat there for the taping, and I have to say, it was amazing. I watched Wrestlers Lab 1, the Season 1, Alchemy 1, and I was really excited for our Season Alchemy 2. That's another, actually, VSW-sponsored event. We sponsored that. We actually sponsored two of their wrestlers, Pimp Daddy Apple Cinnamon, and Insane Dick Lane.
Insane Dick Lane.
But I got to see MV Young wrestle quite a few times, and every time more breathtaking than the last.
He seems like, I've watched some of his matches on YouTube and Twitch. He seems like a very charismatic enigma.
He is. It's just something that I think the wrestling world needs. A lot of it. He's a shock factor for sure. Not too many people can hang with the Poly-Am called King, I feel. But it's what the wrestling world needs to shock. A lot of wrestling has been, as you know, it's been brought down to the PG era of things. And not a lot has been able to rebound since then. Some has, yes. And we got these great promotions like No Peace Underground, GCW, that have this adult vibe feel to it that isn't childlike, that isn't PG ever wrestling. And, but that's not, it's just now becoming more mainstream. But for the longest time, the PG was the way to go. Alright, so we're just waiting for him to call us in. But I figured I'd come on, and discuss a little bit about it. What do you think you're going to ask him, Disabled Wolf?
I thought about asking him what led to his gimmick, what led to his Poly-Am cult. Is it an annual thing like a Joey Janela spring break? Stuff like that, Versace.
Oh, and here we go right now. Welcome, Mr. MV Young.
hello.
Mr. MV Young, how's it going?
Great. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Excellent.
are good to go.
Cool. Love it.
Welcome to the VSW. We were just talking a little bit about, letting our audience know, in case they did not know who you were, all the wonderful shit you do, with the lab, No Peace Underground, and all that fun stuff. And now you got the Woodstock show coming up.
I do. Very quick, very soon. 16 days.
We can't wait. We were all for it once we heard the announcement. I just like the idea of it. It sounds fun.
Oh, it'll be a time. It's going to be unique. I think it'll be a long day, but it'll be rewarding.
I heard there's like 4 different promotions that day.
That is correct. There will be 4, and then scattered in with some live music and some other things. It'll be fun.
That's what I like to see. It's something different than your normal, just 3-hour indie wrestling show.
Yes, absolutely.
And here in New England, we get a lot of that. We have a lot of shows. There's always, something going on, but they're not. Now I'm at the point where I like to see things that are different. That's what drew me to the Wrestlers Laboratory. Things were different.
Yeah, Wrestlers Lab does a great job of keeping it fresh.
And you get into the newer talent and, the talent that we don't get to see every day around here, but it's just on that outskirts of that Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania line.
Right.
That's what we've been starting to come out to. We went out to VXS last week. We went out to the IWTV, Can't Believe Frog.
VXS and Can't Believe Frog are both great, too. I've worked for both of them, so...
Yeah, so, we're just kind of exploring that, getting out of our, typical New England stuff where, when we started this podcast, it was all about the independent scene. And, and that's what it's still about. But, we've progressed. We used to cover things like Chaotic and NCW and, just all the promotions right in our home. And now we're just expanding outward. And we reached you. We reached Polyam Cult. We started watching that. Well, I started watching that at about, I think, the second one. And then nice. I showed you Disabled Wolf.
I thought it was a great job. That's so
What's
cool.
That?
The Polyam Cult when it dropped during the whole pandemic and such. You had Polyam Cult 1 and then 2. We watched it on Twitch, and
that's when it all started. So it's always been. It's never happened officially not under a pandemic. So I'd love to see what happens after.
Yeah, this will be the first like non-technical pandemic show, correct?
Right. Yeah, definitely. Well, I'd say it's definitely the first fully vaccinated show.
Yeah, and that will be exciting. And I
am fully vaccinated, so.
Oh yeah,
I trust you. I believe it.
That's the thing. I think in this business you got to have a little trust. And
yes.
But with the group of people, I hate to talk about it, but it was handled in one of the best ways I could possibly see handled. It was just what happened at Wrestlers Laboratory. Just, I was notified just because I was in attendance, and everybody was notified, and just the amount of people that just actually did the right thing was actually amazing.
No, it was. I was really lucky to get out of that unscathed, but they did handle it super well given the circumstances, so I think that, it's unfortunate, but they handled it as best as they could.
It is, and as long as things are run safely, nothing's going to be 100% foolproof right now, but as long as, things are handled in a quickly, timely, and, just the manner of that it needs to be handled in, I think this industry will be just fine.
Definitely.
I got a lot of people kind of nervous, what's going to happen in the future if this keeps going, and I'm like, I honestly don't know. I hope shows I don't want it to go back to where it was, it was a horrible time period. I can only imagine it for people that had, like you. What did you do? One day you work and the next day that's it.
It was twice a month. It was pretty, if that. It was definitely very strange, and I hated it. I don't want to go back to that time period at all. So. Yeah,
but let's talk about a little bit something more upbeat and fun. So let me ask you, MV, what got you into wrestling?
I just, I always wanted to do it. It was never really a time period where I didn't. I started when I was 18, right when I graduated high school. So it's always been on my mind, and I just decided to pursue it right after high school.
Nice. And like me, I've been watching it as a kid for all my life, and
I've been watching since 5 years old during the Attitude Era for Sach, so.
Yeah, I know. You grew up during that with that whole Cena thing. I'm a little older than I grew up with Hogan and Andre, but But like I said, and that it makes, I think, it brings an essence. I talked to a lot of wrestlers on my show, and it's funny. Some of them, they started watching last year. They never watched it as a kid. Some of them, lifelong fans. Some of them, on and off. And I always like to just kind of see, gauge, what was your wrestling fandom like?
So yeah, I was like a Cena kid, no doubt. Let's see, I'd say that like I started real hot in like 2005, like consistently. So it was like ECW Invasion era, mixed with like the Cena Edge rivalry, mixed with like
that was awesome.
Like Eddie and Kurt and Benoit, and
you came right from the Ruthless Aggression
and Batista. That was like my middle school / elementary school era.
So I'm a Stone Cold and Rock guy transformed to Cena, Orton, Batista, basically.
Right, yeah, that was definitely like the era that I was like full time and just never stopped after that. So, but then I'd say like kind of like transitioned into indie stuff like right around the ECW Invasion storyline, because watching old ECW stuff got me into like new at the time indie stuff, and then like TNA and shit. So like it was just like a big snowball effect. Yeah,
especially in that like 2000 era, you had all sorts of shows on. You had XPW, you had everything.
Yeah, mid 2000s was great.
And and even from then, like we had kind of a drought for the indie scene for a little bit. I felt like in New England, anyways. Here.
In that time period, you think?
After. Like, for a little bit, there was, like, nothing really going on.
I feel like when I hate to bring these guys up, but they're my Sage Wrestling for me. All the elite guys, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, when they took off in Ring of Honor and New Japan, that's what got me to get away from just focusing on PG stuff.
No, I get it. I mean, WWE was, like, not good for a very long time.
Well, see, the thing with me is I felt like growing up as a kid, I grew up in the 80s, so I was a kid for Hogan. I was the right age for DX and the Attitude Era. And by the time PG hit, I was, like, at bars drinking with friends and girls. So, it was kind of hard for me to go and watch, PG wrestling. I'm already, like, 22, 23 years old, and I'm getting fucked up.
Right.
It wasn't there. But then, like, I went into the indie style where, you had this hardcore still going on. You had all these great promotions still running a more adult-orientated product. And that's what led me back into wrestling. These more, like, one of my favorite promotions, I'm going to say it, is No Peace Underground.
Yeah.
I think they run a fantastic show. We saw you at Fear the Gay Agenda, but, I mean, even outside of that, every show, I just love the action. I like deathmatch fighting. I like that hardcore style. It doesn't have to be all, athletics anymore. For me, anyways.
No, I think they have a really unique thing going, especially with, like, the no-ring based shows. It's, like, not a lot of people run a promotion based off of that, so I think it's going to do really well for them.
It is. I'm excited that, you brought some of these names kind of to Paulie in, because we don't see them outside of Florida.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what I was going for, like the Woodstock, variety show act, so I'm glad that they wanted to do it, and I'm glad that they're going to have a little slot.
The thing is, too, MV, is that the nice part about all this indie stuff is you don't have to worry about some old man dictating someone's gimmick or making people do things they're not comfortable with. I want to see wrestlers thrive, face a heel to the best of their ability,
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I mean, you would say as a professional wrestler in the industry, you have pretty good freedom over what you do.
In the independents, yes, absolutely.
Not on Twitter, but everywhere else.
Right, yeah. Yeah, definitely not on Twitter.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm on, like, my third account. They're brutal on Twitter.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm going to try to not get canceled again, so we'll see what happens.
But, it's always, that's social media. We were talking a little bit about that before. People don't like to just... People nowadays, they can't just disagree and move on. They got to just, like, silence you so you never talk again, and then they have some kind of self-satisfaction. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird time period.
Yeah, well, that's Twitter for you.
But, so you said, you really got into it during then, but now, you got one of, when you wrestle, let's just say you're not a typical wrestler. You have your style, your gimmick, your whole idea is very controversial in a lot of parts.
Mm-hmm.
You draw controversy.
Yes.
How is that? Because, I mean, a lot of the people that we bring here, they're just kind of straight shooting guys. You know, they're either bad, good. They don't get half of the press or anything that you would even take in.
How is it overall as a life?
Yeah.
It's oftentimes exhausting. I would say that it definitely has a lot of, consistent backlash, but at the same time, I don't think I'm authentically doing anything that's bad. I think it's controversial because I think people that are idiots don't like me, and people that are otherwise, don't really matter. So in that way, I think it's good, but I definitely deal with a lot of hate because of it, and it's definitely something I have to get used to and am getting used to. But, it's just become a thing where it's I feel like anytime anything of me gets a certain amount of exposure, it's inevitable people are going to come in and say shit to me.
It is, and it's kind of funny though that with it, because the kind of hate that you get, it's hate, and you got controversy, but in a way, for me, I think it's a good controversy. I mean, the shit you're promoting, the shit that you're saying, the shit that you're doing, there's nothing illegal wrong with it. You're not out there promoting drug use. You're not out there promoting,
right.
Gang violence. You're not out promoting anything really bad. You're talking about your lifestyle, how you live, how many partners you have. If you want to sleep with 100 people, that's on you. People shouldn't get offended about that. They should be, congratulations, sir. You're getting laid.
Yeah.
Times 10.
You know what I'm saying? Just say, well, if you wish you had this guy's lifestyle.
Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Who knows, Versace? It might be harder than we think.
Oh, I'm sure.
Listen, it's. I'm sure that jealousy is intertwined, no doubt.
It is, and I mean, I can see the people who win and aren't over photos. You could post one photo, just one photo of you can get 100 people to go ooh and ah. You kind of got to just shut that off and just kind of keep going with it, I guess.
Right.
And there'll be people that will pretend to support you, on everything you post on social media outlets, but if you see them in person, they try to shit talk you behind your back.
Yeah. I mean, that's just entertainment as a whole. But yeah, no, it's I'm learning how to navigate it. It is what it is. If people want to say it's controversial, I'm over it at this point. I'm just doing me. If it pisses people off and gets a reaction and keeps getting me a following, it's whatever.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, any reaction's a good reaction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, let me tell you, I obviously don't like to spoil results or even cards because, I mean, we were there at the show, we saw things, but I know there is one match that was announced for everybody, and that was, you versus Gargone. So, I'm not going to talk about what happened in the match, but let's just pretend it hasn't happened yet. How are you going into that match? Because it is, a 2 out of 3 fall? 2 out of 3 falls, yeah. I mean, that's just something that you have to be physically prepared for. Cardio-wise, it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of wind. And also, you have to be, mentally prepared to know how to navigate through different styles of matches within one match. And that's, demanding on its own. But it's something I've done before, several times before, so I feel pretty good about it. So you're going into it pretty well prepared? Yeah, always. So, I mean, I think that's a lot of things that people, forget about the wrestling aspect. And I bring it always back to chess is this is the mental aspect of this whole game. If you're not mentally prepared for your opponent, it doesn't matter what your physical level is like. Right. I think it's just as demanding as the physical aspect. I think that's why it's not easy. And that's why wrestling is so difficult, because you have to be prepared in both facets if you're going to succeed.
Hello?
Hold on 1 second, folks. We are having a little technical difficulties right now.